Hey guys, welcome back to Castle Combat TV, and in this video, I will be ranking my top 10 favorite cards. So we're going to start off with an honorable mention. It is the Whiteback Pike Thunders and the Whiteback Grendel, the limited edition one. These two were my first cards. So back in the day, you could buy like individual cards for $5. You would also get a little pamphlet about the character. I still have my Pike Thunders one. I don't have the Grendel one, but as soon as I walked into Kid Realm on that first day, these two were my first cards. So if you guys are curious what they do, Pike Thunders, +1 versus Trolls. If you defeat Grendel, you win the entire game. +1 versus Green and +1 versus Red. Grendel Limited Edition, +1 versus all Dragon Lords and Beasts. Rivalry, all Dragon Lords and Fear of Frostbite. And his quote is, "I have no equals." So honorable mention to these two. Moving on to number 10, it is Fireball. So the reason why Fireball is on this list is because of how useful he is. When he first came out, I was really happy because that's when Andromeda and Aurora were swapped to Aqua, and my red and orange deck included those two and didn't have a healer. So if you guys are curious, Fireball, Big Showdown, Incinerate. If you win, you can bring back one card from dungeon to hand, or you can send your opponent's top card to dungeon. Very strong card. I don't like the Big Showdown, but other than that, a great card. One of the most useful cards for the good guys because they don't have that many healers. Moving on to number 9, we have Atomic Skeleton, the Power 7, not the Power 4, but the Power 7. Big reason, because it can't get bogged, hit by Evil Snowman or Shroud, and Atomic Skeleton, just a great card overall. Could be broken, but Power 7, roll 2 dice, choose the highest, doubles your opponent's top card, goes to dungeon, but he does go to dungeon and win, lose, or tie. But luckily, he doesn't get removed, and he can be brought back easily by the Nightshades, the Power 3 and the Power 5. This card I've been using for so long. I was using it when I was using Black and Green, and that was around like my second to last year as a camper when I switched to that. Atomic Skeleton, I mainly use it just to take out my opponent's like really good 5s like Otho, Prince Morgan. And not only that, Atomic Skeleton is really good against Big Showdown because you roll multiple times and possibly send one or more cards from your opponent's deck to dungeon. So moving on to number 8, it is Nightshade. So both variants are good. So the reason why I like Nightshade so much is because first of all, the art, like the Necro Cloak looks so cool, and I really do like the swapping ability, and I really like the Necro Cloak ability, like the insurance that not only saves your Nightshade, but sends your opponent to dungeon, and you hit it more than you think. Nightshade, obviously a very significant character in Castle Combat, one of the biggest villains behind Fear of Frostbite and maybe Morgana, but Nightshade, very, very cool card, one of my all-time favorites. Moving on to number 7, it is Permafrost. So, not the strongest Dragon Lord, Power 6, +1 versus Undead, Big Showdown. Every round that Permafrost loses, subtract 1 power. 500 years ago, he was known as the Arctic Dragon. This card came out my last year as a camper, so like Kid Realm 2019. So most Dragon Lords didn't have cool art. I believe Onyx, Cole, and Grendel were still those like 3 copy-paste ones. So Permafrost was definitely one of the cooler looking Dragon Lords behind Thermal the Magnificent and maybe Mossmog. But on Permafrost, he came out as a 5 that was 2 out of 3 and would gain 1 power after every round of battle. And the first thing I did when I got access to the Castle Combat card files was designing a shiny Permafrost, and he was actually the first fan-made Dragon Lord. I think Electrobolt and Wyvern are the 2 other ones that were fan-made. Moving on to number 6, it is Onyx III. So Onyx III, the most solid card in Castle Combat. Epic Battle, you can force your opponent to reroll once per round, and here is his old card. So if you haven't seen this like type of card with the art, this is the card that you remember. This is once per battle, but the once per round makes a huge difference. The reason why I'm not showing the gold one that heals an elemental if it wins is because Tom is using it right now. He is definitely the coolest and the strongest Dragon Lord by far. He's part of the best color in the game right now and is a must use in any Black Bad Guy deck because he is a very solid card. Moving on to our top 5, and at number 5 we have Void the Shadow Knight. One of the most fun cards in Castle Combat because of the potential of rolling double 6s. Sadly, it doesn't work with Oracle anymore because Oracle only works with cards that are faction Boglord. During battle, roll 2 dice. If you roll a 6, you remove your foe from game. Double 6s, all foes in Epic Battle are removed from game, and vice versa if you roll a 1. So 1, Void is removed, and double 1s, all allies and Void are removed from game. So someone's getting removed. It could be Void, it could be his opponent. The idea behind Void is when Onyx mastered elemental magic, he created Void and Goliathon, and he also needed Void to be like that legendary Shadow Knight. If you guys aren't familiar with the common Shadow Knights, the ones that are like 6, you remove your foe. If you roll a 1, Shadow Knight and your top card are removed from game. So I thought it would be cool to have a Shadow Knight that is like really, really strong and just really, really fun in general. A lot of people like pairing it up with Commander Cardinal where they reroll the 1s. However, that was nerfed. And also, I really do like the art. The art matches his ability and his name perfectly. Yeah, so that's Void. Moving on to number 4, it is Odin King. So Odin King, Definitely one of my most favorite cards of all time, because as a camper I've always wanted an Odin King because of that Saga Surge ability. Epic battle, must battle highest powered foe, roll 2 dice, reroll ones, choose the highest. If you roll doubles, add them together plus your power. When the meta was red and purple good guys, I didn't want to use that. I wanted to use red and orange just because I got an Odin King. Whenever I got it, I told myself I am going to use this card as much as I can. Definitely looks better as a 6 than a 5. This is the Odin King Prime, but I don't think we'll see the Odin King 5 ever come back. I think the 6 just grew on him, and I think it looks really nice. And he's a minimum power 9s. He's obviously countered by lowest battle score, but remember, he actually has to battle the highest powered foe in epic battle, so the chances of that being a lowest battle score card is pretty low. Moving on to number 3, it is Bowie. So Bowie, one of the most rare cards in the game. I haven't seen another one. So before battle, declare if highest or lowest battle score wins the game. So I know that's a misprint. It's supposed to say wins battle, but wins the game is a lot more interesting. One of the most fun cards, and you can actually use him in like a purple command deck. I was thinking about that and pairing it up with some other purple bad guys, which I think is pretty cool. But remember, Bowie can be hypnotized, so I can pair it up with like Morpheus, and then use Humbug, Baba Yaga, Will-O-Wisp, and like Esmeralda to bring back like a bunch of Will-O-Wisp. But Bowie, very cool card. You can build a bunch of cool decks around it. But my personal favorite is this deck, but it's easily countered by like Shroud and Boglord. And those two cards I don't really like. Moving on to number 2. For people that know me, you guys probably know these two cards. At number 2, we have the Shiny Master Mat. So it's just one of the best cards in the game because, first of all, I made it. And second, it kind of like defeats the biggest obstacle in Castle Combat, which is luck and dice rolling. So if this card is signed by me, which it is, if you win, bring back 1 card from dungeon to hand, roll 2 dice, choose the highest, trade places with any card from deck, learn from Odin King, Andromeda, Onyx, and Romulus, must face highest powered foe in a big battle, and he can be included in any army, and he's a neutral. So the reason why he's red is because the art is red and I couldn't change it, and it's just very, very versatile. It's hard to counter because if you play a counter against it, I just run to one of my counters in my deck, and if I want to stay, I can bully a common and heal a card. Now moving on to number 1, this is probably obvious. It ranks number 1 on the top 10 Castle Combat card list. I will be making an updated version of that. It is the Negating Andromeda, or Queen of Elves Andromeda, whatever, but it's better known as the Negating Andromeda. I believe it's the only one left in existence, and it basically negates on a 3 or higher, and if it wins, kills 1 warrior with 5 or less power, and it can't be negated. So this is my most favorite card of all time. It's not even close. It's like a mile ahead because I got it when I was a camper in my last pack, and it was my last legend. So that was the ultimate last pack magic. It's one of the few cards in Castle Combat that are super strong and very rare, and those are the cards I kind of like. Like, I know there's cards that are rare, but they're not that strong. So the best cards in Castle Combat are the ones that are rare and are super strong. Yeah, so Negating Andromeda, don't have to say much, and the fact that it's a neutral, it can be plugged into any good guy deck, and the 5 or less power isn't that bad because there aren't that many power 6 good guys that are worth using. Yeah, that's basically it for my top 10 most favorite cards of all time, but expect to see a sequel to this video. It's going to be my top 10 least favorite cards of Castle Combat. So yeah, that's going to be out tomorrow.